is buttons. We always got to start off with the buttons. What a gorgeous boy he is. And he is back here in the corner because we got a mess going on here for Final Fantasy came in. So, as you can see, we have our work cut out for us. I'm glad this actually shipped to us. Usually it comes on a Wednesday, so hopefully I can get this all organized and we can start packing with other orders that we've got building up, and we can actually start shipping this off by, Wednesday or Thursday. It can start going out. So, you can see we did get quite a substantial amount of product for Final Fantasy from one distributor. And I guess that's what I kind of have to clarify some of the other videos of people. I'm still frustrated. I'm frustrated beyond frustrated because I want this from all of the ones that I spend money with and actually do business with. And I'm thankful we did have really good relationships with one key distributor. I know a lot of this is probably WPN allocations because we do run a lot of tournaments here at Gone Rogue Games. We sell out for Commander Night. We do well at our pre-releases. We do Friday Magic every week that fires. And so that is what you get allocated for. So I'm thankful that Wizards still does do that, at least, that it guarantees the stores that are, running tournaments do get somewhat of products. But I'm still frustrated with distributors, still frustrated with the overall atmosphere of the kind of the rip and shippers and the again, what I call the soulless basement sellers. Again, I don't want to offend people. If that's your gig, that's your gig. I just prefer that if you're going to go into this industry, that you put some skin into the game. They actually help support and just make a local game store, put some play space, run some tournaments. That's what it's all about. The difference between a tabletop game and any other game is there's a table to play on. And I think that it's essential that people actually do come to stores and, meet people, get out there. I think that is the I've always talked about this. I think that tabletop games and board games and card games are a net positive, whereas like video games a lot of times can be addictive and net negative because they just, take you away from social life and you don't get ever out of the house and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I won't talk about that much more because we're kind of beating a dead horse. So we have the Final Fantasy, as I said, one of the issues with such low allocations of patrons, we've actually picked up so many patrons, and yeah, it's that's one of the messes. So again, we're trying to figure out how to scale here with our product going forward. Again, like I said, we're going to try to do everything possible to mend relationships with distributors, try to get on their good graces to hopefully compete the rip and shippers. So I've already seen what did Talmadge say? We saw one of the main rip and shippers was already opened up cases of collectors, like way more than I got, and I don't know how they got them so early. They could have connections directly with the distributor, with other stores, whatnot, but it's kind of annoying at that point. So we are expecting to have a very huge showing here at our pre-release. We are going to be extremely anal with price support. If people don't, we're not going to. What I'm suspecting can happen is people are just going to want to come in and buy pre-release kits and drop. If that's the case, there will be no prize for those people. It will be allocated to the people that stay with it. That's one of my pet peeves with a lot of people. So another thing with pre-release too that is frustrating, that I wish that Wizard of the Coast would do in the future. I actually wish that this stuff would come out a week later. So bundles, commander decks, I wanted to say set boosters, but those are no longer a thing. So Commander decks, bundles, collectors, I wish would come out a full week later, and then they did something like a Commander launch party. That way the Commander product could come out that week, and then collectors, and then that way it incentivizes people to actually play in the pre-release. And that's the only way they can get Final Fantasy product would be to actually play, pre-release kits. And then after, so my whole ideal with Wizards would be releasing the play booster prize just for packs for people to get for their pre-release events, and then just the pre-release kits themselves, and then a week later, like I said. And I think that would actually lead to a lot more people playing at local game stores. There's some way they need to give advantages to stores to try to compete with these. Like I said, money talks, and we know that we're never going to be able to compete with the big players in this. Especially, there's a lot of money now that's come over from other streaming avenues. We even announced. There's an announcement that the GameStop is going to be becoming basically game stores, like kind of like card stores, rather than really focusing on electronic games, because the writing's on the wall with those. That the only real retail options available now for like a GameStop is going to be more in this aspect. So game stores now are going to have to compete with those, and I'm not sure how corporate GameStop is going to be able to want to actually put in the effort for like organized play and tournaments and stuff. It'll be interesting going forward. But in my opinion, it's not a direction I like to see, because one of the charm of this industry was always just the different flavors of game stores. One thing I wanted to do with this channel, maybe I'll have to revive it if we ever do get time and energy and yeah, the will, is I want to go actually visit local game stores, interview the owners. You can actually go back and check out, one of my favorite videos I ever did was when I visited Moldova and found a local game store in Moldova, and actually just went and interviewed and checked out that person's store, and it was just a very, very fun time and experience. So GameStop's going to be very interesting with them kind of moving in this space too, because they have money that no game stores are ever going to compete with. They're going to be able to compete with even the biggest of players like the Star City Games and the Card Kingdoms. And if they want to go into the the singles market, I know they already are going into grading. That is rough. So to be able to any mom and pop store trying to compete with that is going to be rough. So there's going to be a lot of help that is needed for this industry if we want to see this like Main Street brick and mortar kind of, again, your mom and pop local game store survive, because I think they're going to get crushed if they are now. So the problem with GameStop in general is those are going to be popping up in all of the urban areas. So all the stores that really had monopolies, some of these premium stores, I think they're going to be the ones that are going to have the roughest time trying to compete with just the GameStops kind of going into this space. So I haven't heard any information if GameStop is carrying Magic. I'd assume. I know they've gone all in on Pokemon and grading Pokemon, and they actually do where you can go to select GameStops and bring your cards in and have them actually graded. They have some of them that are on location there, some they just send in to get graded, but yeah, they've really, really moved into that space. So yeah, very, very interesting time we're in. I'm hoping this isn't the end of the road for a lot of LGSs. I've had a lot of people link me some other stores and stuff that are going through similar issues as mine, and that's what I say. I'm already reading the comments like, what was Kevin whining about? This is quite a bit of product for Final Fantasy, and again, I'm very, very happy that I did have one distributor completely come through above and beyond. The frustrating part though is my numbers for Edge of Eternities are actually quite low, and it's crazy. I just think that even more accounts have come up, and there's less allocations now that can be allocated out, and so yeah, there will be some reckoning for sure. I think that there are too many cooks now in this industry, and there are too many stores that have popped up, too many competitors in especially these like urban areas. And it's when it's hot online, it's hot, and you can make a profit and it's sustainable. But I've lived through at least 4 or 5 extremely bearish markets where online you could not make money on anything. It didn't matter what the product coming out with Pokemon or Magic was. During like the New Capenna era, like everything was a loser and everything lost money. Now we're looking at Baldur's Gate, which is now considered like a really good set, like a hot set, and that lost a lot of people money. I lost at least 30-40,000 on Baldur's Gate. It was rough. I had to sell at a loss. That was one of the sets that I definitely kind of overstepped. I ordered way too much because I expected that my demand would actually one of the things I like to do here is if I can, I don't want people to wait for product. So I try to anticipate how much product people will want on my Patreon and on my, I don't sell online, it's just through the subscription service, but I still want to give the best service possible. And so I went through numbers of what was selling in previous sets, and Baldur's Gate I really thought was going to be a lot more popular than it was. And so I really overextended and ended up selling a lot of the Baldur's Gate at a loss, because what ended up happening is then distributors blew it out. And so instead of just like, okay, well, I'm just going to try to hold steady and sell for what I paid for, I was like, well, I could always just reorder this stuff if I actually wanted it, because now distributors are offering it for so much cheaper. And then I had to blow through a lot of it that way to, losing like $80 a box on collector boosters and whatnot. Again, you could say, well, you should have held on to it, Kevin, but I mean, it was dead for two years. Baldur's Gate has barely started moving. We could still get collector boosters for under 200 for quite some time, and it's crazy how they've just ramped up now. But I don't know if anyone could actually anticipate that happening, because we didn't know the overall, I mean, with the election coming up, with the economy in the dumps, with all of that, with Wizards of the Coast not giving any signs that they're slowing down with overprinting. I don't know if anyone could have made those calls and just really hung on to a lot of product when the sky was literally falling for TCGs. So yeah, had a comment that I read through on my comment section, be like, oh yeah, you could take this guy's advice. This guy was whining about Scarlet and Violet era product a year ago. Yeah, I was, because it wasn't selling. That's the whole thing. It's really fun now, with hindsight's 2020. But when you're in the thick of it and nothing is moving, and distributors are begging you to take product, and you're taking product, and you're losing money on every set. Yeah, it's rough time. So it will happen again. And unfortunately, like this is the problem with this industry. When it's hot, everyone and their dog tries to get into it and starts competing with you. And unfortunately, I think it's very, very appealing to distributors and to places like Wizard of the Coast to try to take on as many accounts as possible because they want growth, growth, growth. And so of course they want new stores. Of course they want a game store on every block. Like this really reminds me of the Zendikar. Like so Konstantark here through Battle for Zendikar, I believe. I was living around the Salt Lake area or still in that. And Salt Lake was growing very quick at that point, but we went from like 4 major stores or 4 what I'd consider like legit stores, which is tiny for a place like, or a small amount for a place as large as Salt Lake City urban area. And we went from like 4 to like 40, and like every like township had one, every major commercial center like around malls had a game store, and they just popped up like crazy. And then right after that big boom, a lot of them went under. Like I can think of at least a dozen stores that I've been to in the Salt Lake area that did not last, and same thing in like the Payson and the Provo area that did not last too. And so now I'm starting to see the exact same thing with stores just popping up everywhere. And I think with this oversaturation of competition, we're going to see a lot of them start to fail if we do start to go into like a more bearish market, which is in my opinion, that's going to be the case, because not only are stores like really ramping it up with new stores popping up, but we're also seeing just new product popping up. Like every day I hear about another card game that is trying to compete in this industry. The board game industry is really, really flooded with products at the moment, not only within products like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. It does tend to see we're seeing a lot more print runs increasing in the overall print runs. I know people have said, well, Kevin, it can't be both ways. It can't be you're getting cut allocations and they're overprinting. Yes, that's what's happening. The competition is actually growing quicker than the company's actually printing, but I think that the overprinting is still not a reflection of the true demand of when all is said and done with what I call the consumption. You need the end user, the people actually buying the product to open and play and enjoy. I think that is not grown as much as the speculation, the stores that are now demanding, the people that are now looking at people like Alpha Investments with their warehouses of old product and saying, I'm going to do that in 5-10 years. I'm going to have that sort of same scenario, and then I can make bank on stuff. And eventually those chickens are all going to come home to roost. We've seen it time and time again. I think that was the exact same thing during the Baldur's Gate era too, is we had the exact same mentality. We just went through the COVID boom and everyone was hoarding, and then all those dominoes fell all at the same time, and that's why we saw all this product then enter back into the secondary market, compete with all the new stuff coming out, with Wizard of the Coast ramping up what I call FOMO farming, where they were creating better and better sets that then it's like, okay, no one wants New Capenna now, no one wants Baldur's Gate now, no one wants Commander Masters, because there was just more interesting things coming out every week, and it was hard for people to keep up. So unfortunately, I'm seeing us go back into that with the Final Fantasies, with Final Fantasy and with Destined Rivals and with Magic the Gathering now, really pushing the envelope of where they can go with products. I was very surprised that Destined Rivals had the reception it did, with Journey Together really crashing and not having the appeal that it did have originally. But now Destined Rivals is just, it's basically Prismatic 2.0. Everyone has lost their minds about it, and it's selling really well in the secondary market. So anyway, like I said, I have a lot to talk about here. I know I haven't had a video in a few days because this is really what we've been working with here, really organizing the store and trying to prepare for this release. So a lot going on. We're going to keep up to date here at the store. I'll do some updates to like my barometer videos of where I think a lot of the TCGs are at. We still are very healthy at the moment. Like as I've said in this video, like I'm talking about future woes and future things that I think could really derail this industry. But right now it is still hot. And so it is good to strike while the iron's hot. I'm going to try to sell my position of Pokemon, of kind of the older sets of Scarlet and Violet and Sun and Sword and Shield that I still have left, and free up some capital for some things coming out. But right now I think the name of the game is not really to overpay for things. Destined Rivals, I wouldn't be overpaying. I'm thinking there's going to be a lot more down the road. And again, eventually those dominoes, like I said, those chickens are going to come home to roost. Like the people that have all been speculating like crazy that aren't going to see their 2x, their 3x, their 4x that they're anticipating within a year. I don't think we're going to see sets like Evolving Skies. I think things like Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions, they're at their highs. So we're going to stay stagnant for a while, 6 months, a year in those products. They might go up slightly, but overall what people are looking for massive returns like that they were we're basically anticipating are not going to happen. These are the people that overpaid, paid close to MSRP with the scalpings of the Walmarts and the Costcos, or the overpaying at distribution level. They're not going to get their 2Xs, 3Xs on those products. And I think that eventually it's going to lead to the same mentality we had post-COVID with that boom. Is it's like, okay, well, I'd rather have my money to go in on other stuff. Well, now the stock market looks good. Now crypto looks good. Now all these other investments look better than holding on to cardboard. And that's one of the things I just want to beat home with all these people that have been popping up with these businesses, is you have no clue how wild this industry is. This is not an industry for the faint of heart. There are so many better ways to make money. I think this industry needs people that actually understand the ins and outs, that have experience with just the roller coaster that is TCGs, and can make that. And there's a lot of these stores too that I just see are doing it so wrong with managing inventory. Again, not really cultivating play space in a community, and that when times are tough, a lot of times those really working on those fumes of having that secondary market to your store, kind of being the people coming in and having that natural place that people congregate, like those fumes can get stores by when we do have bear markets. Whereas these stores that do just rely solely on online sales, they're going to absolutely get crushed once we have this last bear market. And to be honest, I'm actually kind of waiting for that. Because, like I said, I don't like bears and I don't like bulls as far as markets are concerned. I just like the normal everyday ones where we can judge and anticipate the right demand, the right supply, make those calculations, know exactly how much you want to buy, make those just juicy little markups that we're used to without these, not being able to get the product in the first place, not having to compete with every corner shop for customers, and really not for customers, for product. And that's the time I think that it's really lucrative to be in a store. So I'm actually kind of hoping for this bull market to kind of at least start to fade a little bit, but hopefully it doesn't cause what has been happening with this really roller coaster ebb and flow type industry. Is the last few times this has happened, it's led to an absolute crash. So yeah, let's hope not. So there are some, again, worrisome signs just with Final Fantasy because of just how much a product that was ordered. This isn't like a low supply set. This, according to all the numbers that I've been hearing, and this is what distributors have told me, this was the most sold set of all times through pre-orders. It's actually outsold the life of many of these other standard products in the not so recent past. So it's already sold more than something like a Wildsville Drain just on its pre-order. A set that has been out for years, has been purchased and drafted. This has already beat it. And so that's one thing that I really, really, really want to beat home to, is do not buy singles right now, especially if it's like, just don't buy anything at the moment, because I think this is going to be incredibly overprinted. There have been some hints at a holiday set. That's another thing I always want to talk about. If you want to really speculate on kind of Wizards sets going forward, is oftentimes Ultra Pro will leak information, because they'll set out information like to distributors to order sleeves, and they'll say like Final Fantasy Set 2 on it, and it's like, what are they talking about? Like, what, a set 2? And so that was just released a few days ago, that Ultra Pro is taking pre-orders for a set that's coming out in November, which I think is going to be a supplemental holiday set. Someone says it's going to be some sort of chocobo holiday set. There's like 4 different sleeves for it, so it's substantial that Ultra Pro has wanted to put out. Like, at least we don't see art. That's the problem with like the sleeves, is they always want you to order them before you can actually even see what it is. And the same thing with the Ultimate Guard. We've noticed too, the Ultimate Guard will come out with stuff before things are officially released, like the last Airbender Squaros they came out with before it was actually officially released that was going to be Universes Beyond. But anyway, I'm rambling here. I'm really talking too much about nonsense here. We'll try to get our thoughts together and get this out. And I appreciate everyone for sticking around. We're doing really well here at Gone Rogue Games. Like I said, I always have my concerns, and that's more, I think people need to take it for what it is. It's oftentimes my title's a little bit clickbait. It's not all doom and gloom, but there are always things to be aware of and to watch out for, because like I said, this industry is merciless, and it will eat people. I've seen so many people lose their backs off of trying to start a side business with Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, or a full-blown business. The amount of stores, even in my area, that have lasted 6 months, 8 months, like a bunch of our competitors that have tried to pop up, and they've just been absolutely crushed within a few months, because they just do not understand like just how dog eat dog this industry is, and how like you really, really have to be limber in this industry to be able to to move with the market. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. We're into 20 minutes here, so we'll show our little puppy here that's been spoiled with walks lately. Oh, my camera's going nuts here. Maybe we won't show my puppy because my camera doesn't want to. There she is. There's the Chloe. Say hello, Chloe. See, I'm going to limp all day because I went on a long hike yesterday and we didn't take the camera with us, so no one got an outdoor videos of me hiking up a beautiful canyon. Next time, though, thanks for watching.